So I go to the pharmacy to pick up the pills that are the last remaining obstacle between me and a 90s style girl interrupted nervous breakdown. And I go in and the guy behind the counter, the pharmacist, looks like Frohickey from the X-Files. Remember Fro? He looks like Frohickey. And he's like, you know what? Your provider forgot to call this in and you better work fast because there's a national shortage on your drugs. A national shortage. He's like, yeah, it's compounded by the fact that it's back to school season. All the kids are going back to school. I'm like, kids, I am a grown ass man. Society depends on me to be functional way more than it depends on a bunch of third graders to sit still in their seats. Plus I have more money than they do. Sorry, first come, first serve. Try to get your provider to do his job, then come back tomorrow. So I go home, I email the provider, I'm like, hey, would you mind doing your damn job and sending in the prescription? Sure thing, it's sent. Okay, then because I didn't have my meds, I forgot for like 2 days. This is what happens when you're neurodiverse. And I'm gonna stop calling it neurodiverse, I'm gonna call it neurospicy. And if you're neurospicy like me, you know the deal. They give you the meds so you can remember to do everything on your list. But if you don't have the meds, you don't remember to take the meds. And so you're screwed. I go back to the pharmacy, and as I'm walking in, walking out with a purpose is Frohickey. And he's wearing, I'm not making this up, Frohickey is about 5 adorable, and he is walking out wearing a wizard's cloak. A wizard's cloak, and he's just, man, he's booking it. He's like, my shift ran long, I am late for LARPing. And I'm like, Frohickey, wait, my potions. This is the Gribbly's Poly Sunday Antisocial Hour, that time each week when I smoke my pipe and complain about humanity while answering all of his questions. And if you are a piece of humanity with an itching, burning question that you're afraid you'll never find an answer to, leave it in the comments down below with the hashtag AskGribbs, and I will answer any question. I am Gribbly. You are witnessing my ongoing folly. Tonight I'm smoking Beck's Old Limey Bastard in my Stanwell pot, one of my favorite pipes, although we have to talk about this. Since I got out of the pipe restoring business, I'm not able to keep up with the teeth chatter, with the tooth chatter, the marks that your teeth make on the Vulcanite. And I just wish, what a good tobacco. I just wish that all pipes came with acrylic stems. I know they're not as comfortable, but I'm okay with it. If I never had to worry about, you know, grinding down my Vulcanite stem with alcohol in a piece of chainmail from Frohickey's LARPing Society, that'd be better. So my question for humanity is, does anybody know anyone out there that makes custom acrylic stems that they could fit to my favorite Stanwell pot? Let me know in the comments. Hashtag humanity answers or something. I don't care. You gotta be careful with the neurodivergent stuff because everybody is what's normal? Who is normal? Whose brain works normally? So everyone could be neurodivergent, and when I was just diagnosed with OCD, they're like, oh, you're neurodivergent. I'm like, no, I'm not. OCD is a neurological problem. It's not divergent, it sucks. Stop it. Stop trying to normalize that. Treat me. ADHD is a little bit different, and since I've had that diagnosis, there's all these, I somehow the algorithm like smelled it on me, it like sniffed that I was neurospicy, and so it's constantly giving me like little hints when I'm on Instagram. It's like, have you tried body doubling? The fuck is body doubling? Body doubling is when you work next to someone else who has ADHD. And that helps you both work. I don't know why they don't just call it working. Why wouldn't you just, you're just working with someone else. It's not body doubling. There is no cloning. There's no, like, we're not matching each other's movements like one of those weird mirror tricks. You're just getting shit done. And if you have someone else to help get shit done, it keeps you on track. Why do we need a term for this? And I've learned that the answer to that question is, if you make a fancy term for something that's just common sense, somewhere down the line you get to bill someone's insurance. Anyway, Frohickey and I are going body doubling next week. Whatever, we're gonna get a lot done. So I got a bone to pick with you people. I got so many comments, okay, like 4, but whatever. All right, like 2. But I got so many comments last time basically about me being whiny. Okay, so even E2, Les Brady says, this one could have definitely used some brown sugar Pop-Tarts. Is that your passive aggressive way of telling me to smile? Howard says, I think this week's should have been called Sunday Antisocial Menstruation. And then Alex Gennaro says, you should really watch The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. It's a movie for a guy like you who doesn't know shit but wants to talk about the atomic bomb. I will have you people know that I am actually a chipper, optimistic, Pollyanna sort of guy, but you people bring this out of me. I'm giving you what you want. It's called the Sunday Antisocial. It's in the name. I make videos about my own joy. I go out in the woods with a pinhole camera. I nerd out. I look at waterfalls. I make happy videos. No one watches them. So I apply my skills where they are needed most. And this is what everyone wants from me. And so I choke off my happiness for you. I take my bubbly personality and tamp it down to bring you this character. Anyway, the other day I was reading Kurt Cobain's suicide note. Oh, wait, hear me out. Okay, I don't even like Nirvana, but Instagram thinks I do because at one point I probably liked, something Billy Corgan posted, and so it shows me stuff from Narcissists from the 90s. So I get a lot of Kurt Cobain content. And anyway, I'm scrolling through and there's a picture of his suicide note on Instagram. And I'm like, who in the hell made that public? Courtney Love. Now, I know Courtney Love is a very controversial figure, and some of you out there probably think that she killed Kurt Cobain because that's a big conspiracy theory. Whatever, I don't care. The man's dead. We can't bring him back. It's very sad. But seriously, Courtney Love, seriously, you got to make the suicide note public. That is the trashiest thing ever. So I was reading it. I'm going to hell. But I was struck thusly. Kurt Cobain, according to his suicide note. Now, when people are writing suicide notes, they're obviously not in the best frame of mind, right? So we got to take this with a grain of salt. But he was on the last 3 tours. How many tours did Nirvana even have? How could it have been more than 3? Anyway, he just couldn't, he didn't feel it. He wasn't feeling it. And I'm like, dude, have you listened to your own music? It's the most depressing shit ever. You're obviously feeling it. And I've been thinking so much about how the 90s was an objectively better decade in terms of music and culture than any that has followed, and why that is. And I have a lot of thoughts about why that is. But that moment of losing Kurt Cobain was and I never liked Nirvana, but it was it was an entire generation stopped in its tracks and was like, what the hell are we actually doing here? What is, this guy was our mascot, hero, and anti-hero all rolled into one, and he was in abject misery. And we all kind of had to take, I was 14 or something, but we all had to take this big look in the mirror. What all this, and this is why I'm bringing it up, is that all this we're putting on this show of discontent, right? Nirvana is a show, and I'm not saying it's not to say it's insincere, but the whole point of that music is that we're all just really pissed off, and not even righteously pissed off, like when you listen to Metallica or you listen to some certain punk bands and you're righteously angry, I'm right, they're wrong. Nirvana was we're all wrong. We're all part of the same system and we all suck. And when that's the world you live in, sometimes things come to a really bad end. We have to be very careful what we pretend to be, right? And so I appreciate you guys pointing out when you see me veering into extra bitter territory. I appreciate you pointing. And I was in a terrible mood when I made that video last week, by the way. It was a bad day. And things have gotten better since. We've had some improvements on the healthcare front. And life is a little bit, we're all breathing some sighs of relief at this point, that we were not breathing when I made that last video. And so anyway, I as much as I'm giving you shit for giving me shit, I appreciate you being sensitive to it. Now, I have ADHD, and that is why I didn't even mention the whole reason I brought up the atomic bomb and Oppenheimer, which was, did you see the pipe that Oppenheimer was smoking? I thought it was extra classy, and it really made me want to buy a nice billiard, but I've never had one smoke very well. I have a Stanwell 53, actually, that I do not smoke except for special occasions, and that smokes very well, but it's a small billiard. It's not an Oppenheimer billiard. I think I need an Oppenheimer billiard. That's the whole point of the story. So I'm editing the Sunday Antisocial, and I stopped and tried to find pictures of Oppenheimer smoking a pipe, and I found this really interesting thread on the Pipes Magazine forums that is from a pipe restorer who says he's working with the prop. This is from 2022. Says he's working with the props master from Oppenheimer, and he's asking the community for information about the pipes that Oppenheimer actually smoked. So I will put a link to this thread down below. It's really fascinating. Now to the more practical part of the video where I answer your questions. Stephen Pearson 5718 asks Scribs, if the name Telegraph Hill is already taken, could your tobacco blend name be 5G Tower? It's almost brilliant. It's almost brilliant, but it doesn't have the ring. Okay, so here we go. Here we go. John Galdieri says, maybe you should name your tobacco blend Dystopia. And that, of course, would be very much on brand, but we need to bring these two ideas. I'm going to do a hand gesture here, so we're going to bring our disparate elements together. Now, I am aware that there is some sort of dystopian conspiracy theory about 5G towers, but I don't know any of the details, because I am not a crazy person. So I need you to tell me, someone send me the best 5G tower conspiracy video so that I can mine it for cute little phrases that I could use to name a tobacco. And then, you know what? This is completely off the cuff. I'm just coming up with this idea. What if I made a tobacco? And I'll send out little sample packages. Is that legal? Can I do that, or have the 5G lizard people made that against the law? Returning to John Gallieri's comment, he says that they are down with pink eye. I am so sorry to hear that. You have my direct empathy, because as you all know, I, in the spring, had a absolutely gruesome case of viral pink eye. I hope you have the bacterial pink eye. That is at least, it was better when I had it. And I've had that a few times since Kiddo has been around. Viral pink eye was way worse. I assume either one can be really bad, but that sucks. I'm sorry. Then John says, have you watched a movie called The Maze Runner? You might like it. It's about a dystopian society. Yeah, so there was a book. It was a book before it was a movie, and that was right when everybody was getting super into YA fiction, young adult fiction, and I was going to read Maze Runner, but I read The Hunger Games first. And let's be honest about The Hunger Games. Fun read the first time, kinda. But they don't hold up. It's not, Harry Potter it is not. You're not gonna go back to this year after year and reread The Hunger Games. They're just not that good, and the ending was like really kind of whack. So, you know, if J-Law hadn't been in the movies, we would have forgotten. I mean, well, I think we kind of have forgotten. I mean, who's out there buying a Hunger Games lunchbox? How's that writer's strike going, by the way, Hollywood? Wait, no, don't answer. I don't care. Howard says, hi ho, it's deeper down the TDS rabbit hole we go. Trump derangements. Have you seen the news? Ask Gribbs, would you feel safer with Auntie Harris behind the wheel as POTUS? I guess she is younger than the current front. If for no other reason, yes. If I would like for the next president to be able to serve out their term not eating exclusively from the soft foods menu. Do I make too many old people jokes? I'm aware that I will one day be one of these people that I am making jokes about, and that I will be able to smoke my pipe outside of my mouth because I'll just stick it in my dentures on the night table, and I'll just make my videos like that. I'll just zoom in and talk behind the camera. I have been accused on this channel before of being a quote, ageist fuck, unquote. Nothing could be further from the truth. The very old are just as charming to me as the very young. I don't want either of them driving a car or running the country. And I want to be fair about this. I will commit right now. I will hand to God, when I am 80 years old, I will not run for president. But seriously, I wouldn't want the job now. I'm in my 40s. If my kid has more than 2 after-school appointments in a week, I call my wife. I'm like, look, you gotta handle this. I can't do it. She's like, what have you done all day? I'm like, you just a lot. Okay, I did the dishes. It doesn't look like I did them. This is so much of marriage is being like, honey, I cleaned up. It doesn't look like I did, but I really did. I think we'd all be tempted, you know, like if the phone rang one day and they were like, look, there's been a terrible accident. All of our leaders are dead. You're next in line. We'd all be like, oh yeah, oh, I'm finally gonna make some change. Not me. I would be like, you know what? I got a lot of Minecraft that needs to be played, and I just can't do it today. But Mr. President, the nukes are in the air. Well, guess we're screwed. I got a castle to build. You think I'm joking. But see, here's what's gonna happen. One day, you'll be watching the Sunday Antisocial, and the phone will ring in the background, and then the lights will go out, and then you will know that it finally came to. That's all for this week. If you enjoy my content, please go check me out on Patreon, link down below. It has nothing to do with any of this. It's an entirely different thing. But you might like it. Go see. I have enjoyed this bowl of Old Limey Bastard. It is, what year is it? It's 7 years old? No. Yeah, 2016 was 7 years ago. Old Limey Bastard from 2016. It has been delicious, but I will say, there's this fetish for aged tobacco, and I'm not sure I share it. I'm not sure I don't want to kink shame anyone, but this fetish is not something that really gets me going. It's fine, but it's very mellow. And sometimes, if I'm smoking a strong English, I want it to be a strong English. I can see that with Virginias, they age a little bit better, but there are Virginias in this. It's the Latakia that I feel like is not as forward as it used to be, although we have been talking repeatedly about how my palate has changed with the big hiatus that I took. And I mean, it wasn't that big. I didn't like cold turkey it or anything, but I think I have some answers about that, and I will address them in a future video. I have videos in my head to make about a few things. We need to return to Carter Hall, and we need to talk about what I have discovered with my palate changes, because it's interesting stuff. And there's probably other stuff, but I forget right now because I'm neurospicy. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you know somebody who can custom make me an acrylic bit for this pipe. Keep the ends out for the ties that bind. I'll see you next week.